prosperous, and of course, healthy day to all of you. I'd like to congratulate the UST Alumni Association and this powerful committee behind the academe, alumni, and industry government collaboration project, which brings together the four major pillars of the educational system to transform it towards a better normal, not just the new normal.
There are three things that we can do together, not just in the summit, in the classroom, but also in the offices that we're in. The first one really is about falling in love with the subjects that we're passionate about, because falling in love in those subjects allows us to contribute and be complementing one another. The second thing that we can do is really about communicating, engaging, and actively participating in the discourse. And maybe last point really is, it is important that leadership skills of empathy, listening, finding your own purpose, communicating, and collaboration continue to be an important and fundamental part of the education system that we have, but also a very important part of the society that we continue to live in.
If Education 4.0 is how we should help transition our students to Industry 4.0, then it must also be a purposeful transformation to the learning experience by emphasizing to students, faculty members, and school administrators to take on challenges head-on. This summit, which we started in 2019, is an important down payment for that transition. And we thank the UST Alumni Association and its partners for underwriting that down payment. And we all have roles to play. Will be paid by experimenting together, sharing knowledge, welcoming new partners, and by harnessing the actions of the academe, alumni, industries, and governments.
As our nation progresses in this battle against the pandemic, extraordinary collaborations between all stakeholders need to be instituted. Through partnerships and collaborations, stakeholders from all sectors of the society unite towards the improvement of education, with our learners at the core of our collective societal transformation. Our universities and colleges will continue to serve their mandates to advance knowledge through teaching and research, and will continue to democratize technical expertise to their respective immediate communities. While our higher education institutions uphold these mandates, the Commission also secures its directive of coordinated partnerships with all the sectors of our society.
May I encourage my fellow alumni in the UST and all our colleagues from the academe to advocate and look into pursuing and offering TVET qualifications in your institutions, especially in your engineering.
Good day, everyone. Greetings of peaceful, prosperous, and of course, healthy day to all of you. I'd like to congratulate the UST Alumni Association and this powerful committee behind the academe, alumni, and industry government collaboration project, which brings together the four major pillars of the educational system to transform it towards a better normal, not just the new normal.
There are three things that we can do together, not just in the summit, in the classroom, but also in the offices that we're in. The first one really is about falling in love with the subjects that we're passionate about, because falling in love in those subjects allows us to contribute and be complementing one another. The second thing that we can do is really about communicating, engaging, and actively participating in the discourse. And maybe last point really is, it is important that leadership skills of empathy, listening, finding your own purpose.
Good day, everyone. Greetings of peaceful, prosperous, and of course, healthy day to all of you. I'd like to congratulate the UST Alumni Association and this powerful committee behind the academe, alumni, and industry government collaboration project, which brings together the four major pillars of the educational system to transform it towards a better normal, not just the new normal.
And there are three things that we can do together, not just in this summit, in the classroom, but also in the offices that we're in. The first one really is about falling in love with the subjects that we're passionate about, because falling in love in those subjects allows us to contribute and be complementing one another. The second thing that we can do is really about communicating, engaging, and actively participating in the discourse. And maybe last point really is, it is important that leadership skills of empathy, listening, finding your own purpose, communicating, and collaboration continue to be an important and fundamental part of the education system that we have, but also a very important part of the society that we continue to live in.
If Education 4.0 is how we should help transition our students to Industry 4.0, then it must also be a purposeful transformation to the learning experience by emphasizing to students, faculty members, and school administrators to take on challenges head-on. This summit, which we started in 2019, is an important down payment for that transition. And we thank the UST Alumni Association and its partners for underwriting that down payment. And we all have roles to play. Will be paid by experimenting together, sharing knowledge, welcoming new partners, and by harnessing the actions of the academe, alumni, industries, and governments.
As our nation progresses in this battle against the pandemic, extraordinary collaborations between all stakeholders need to be instituted. Through partnerships and collaborations, stakeholders from all sectors of the society unite towards the improvement of education, with our learners at the core of our collective societal transformation. Our universities and colleges will continue to serve their mandates to advance knowledge through teaching and research, and will continue to democratize technical expertise to their respective immediate communities. While our higher education institutions uphold these mandates, the Commission also secures its directive of coordinated partnerships with all the sectors of our society.
May I encourage my fellow alumni in the UST and all our colleagues from the academe to advocate and look into pursuing and offering TVET qualifications in your institutions, especially in your engineering programs and architecture. We need the practical side of TVET in order to produce well-rounded engineering professionals. We have to reskill and upskill existing workers and new entrants to the world of work for them to be able to bounce back. This is also our contribution to the MSMEs and, of course, to the National Employment Strategy, revitalization of employment. As the world of work is drastically changing, shifting to remote or hybrid forms of work, so does TVET need to be transformed as well. TVET delivery should focus on industry and academic partnership and collaboration.
Our educational institutions should fill two other roles. One is research and development of new technologies, products, and services. This is woefully lacking in our Philippine educational institutions today. The second is to be a stimulus for the growth and development of the communities around it. It is imperative that we restructure our education system immediately. We cannot stand still. We must redouble our efforts to shorten the gap or even overtake the other countries.
So let me just emphasize that investments in new technologies, digitalization, and innovation are investments on resilience, sustainability, competitiveness, and long-term business growth, which are all necessary as we enter our economic recovery. Together, let us help create a strong manufacturing industry And by manufacturing, I also include industry and services that will build back better a more competitive and innovative Philippines, as envisioned by our President Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
We have to practice multi-stakeholder collaboration to enable the digital readiness of our learners. This is what we have learned in practicing sustainability. The problems that we have are so big that we cannot do it alone. And so what we need to do is to partner and collaborate with other institutions, even corporates, that have the knowledge and that have the resources to help. And with this partnership, we will be able to address some, if not all, of the problems that are facing us in the sector.
We really experience the hardships of the education sector, especially the administrators' survival. We are partner of the government in nation building, and we hope that the government will continue to assist us, especially in facilitating our students to continue their studies amidst the pandemic. And also we need cooperation between parents, students, and other stakeholders in the academy.
First, I think education must move in the digital world. No doubt about it. Now, let's take this opportunity in this pandemic to revolutionize education to EdTech. And I think educators in schools like the UST should be the prime mover here. Now, remember, technology is an enemy. It's not intended actually to replace teachers, but really to enhance learning. So the role of technology is to enhance rather than replace human teachers.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am Patricia Meiti Dakanay, and I will be your guide for today's event. Welcome to the Academe, Alumni, Industry, and Government, AAIG 2022 Caravan Series for Region 4A via Zoom and via the Facebook page of UST AAI, UST GSCC PED, and VIII colleges. Hosted by VIII colleges today, September 16, 2022. I'm glad to welcome our speakers, Engineer Alan Timonera, Dr. Lalaine Manalo, Dr. Jaya Agnes Buera, and Dr. Freddy Bulawan, and our distinguished guest, Professor Inocencia Ida Chonco, and Dr. Fe Hidalgo. Of course, I would like to thank our main sponsor for this Caravan, Rex Education, and of course, to our other sponsors, Corona Supply Corporation Incorporated, Pasholco Agri-Ventures, and Green Life Coconut Products Philippines Incorporated. And welcome to our dear students. May the Almighty guide us as we begin this auspicious event with the faith prayer, to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
Let us all remember that we are in the most holy presence of God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. We praise and thank you, dear God, for the blessings you have showered upon us. Empower us that we may have the intelligence to be competent and perform in the best way we can. The will for total commitment to truth, justice, freedom, peace, and unity among people and the environment. And the heart to be compassionate and sensitive to the needs of others, especially the poor. This we ask in the name of Mary, our Mother, and Jesus, our Lord. Amen. Mater Fidelium, Mater Fidelis, Ora pro nobis. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Alam ng puso sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, doon ka nang magiting. Sa manlulupi, di ka pasisiin. Sa lagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit bumagaw. May dilagang tula, tawid sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na naghihingi. Ang bituin na tarog na kailan pa may magiging. Lupa ng araw ng mahali ko sila. Buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang iligan
A few reminders to our participants. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's event. Participants' microphone is turned off throughout the duration of this webinar. Kindly accomplish the attendance sheet at the link provided in the chat box, and the certificate of attendance will be given after accomplishing the end of the webinar evaluation form. The link will be provided later before the end of the webinar. No accomplished evaluation form, no certificate of attendance. You will have the opportunity to submit questions to today's presenter by typing your name and questions into the Q&A chat box. You may specify the name of the speaker to which the question will be addressed to. Otherwise, the questions will be addressed to all. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation because we will collect this and address them during the open forum session. If you are experiencing any technical issue or difficulties, you may notify the Secretariat by typing in the chat box. For any general questions not related to the current webinar, the Secretariat will get in touch with you via your email address. Just please make sure your name appears in the chat box. Please remain until the very end of the open forum for announcements. And you can also view the webinar and live streaming in the following Facebook pages: UST, AAI, and CCPED, and of course, VIII colleges. The links will be posted in the chat box area. And now, to formally welcome you all, let us give our attention to the ever-supportive president of VIII colleges, Dr. Brian Vincent L. Belen, for his opening remarks.
Good morning. On behalf of VIII colleges, allow me to welcome you all to the Calabarzon leg of the 2022 Academe, Alumni, Industry, and Government Caravan Series, or AAIG 2022. As host institution for Region 4A, the continuing professional development of young professionals is very close to our hearts at VIII colleges. In our 22 years of existence, we have been responsible for the formation of 26,000 alumni and program completers, each of whom we expect to be agents of transformation in their communities, the nation, and the world. But for this to happen, we must provide them with an education and opportunities that are responsive to the needs of the times, not just while they are students with us, but also when they become graduates and therefore alumni. Thus, like all of you, we share in the purpose of AAIG to foster multi-sectoral conversations precisely to address the needs of college graduates as they make the transition to the fast-evolving world of work. I would like to congratulate the Alumni Association of the Pontifical and Royal University of Santo Tomas, as well as UST's Graduate School Center for Continuing Educational Development, for spearheading this initiative, persevering in spite of the difficulties of the pandemic, and for taking AAIG nationwide through this Caravan Series. I would like to thank all our sponsors for their support towards this activity. And finally, may everyone joining today have a productive day ahead. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Belen. Your message and presence is highly appreciated. Now, to give us a glimpse and to further enlighten us with the what and why of AAIG, we shall now hear important messages from two of our distinguished guests. Please welcome Professor Inocencia Ida Chonco, Vice President of the UST AAI, and Dr. Fe Hidalgo, former Undersecretary, OIC Secretary of Department of Education.
This is a wonderful day the Lord has made. A pleasant good morning to all the school administrators, faculty, and attendees from VIII colleges led by Dr. Belen, and other schools and institutions in this region and other regions as well. Warmest greetings to all our AAIG champions and advocates and partners who are present here today. Do I have a video? Am I okay? It has been a year since the huge success of the second AAIG 2021 webinar series entitled National Multi-Sectoral Summit for Educational Transformation and Academe, Alumni, Industry, Government Collaboration that was held from September to October 2021. This was conducted by the UST Alumni Association Incorporated in partnership with the UST Graduate School Center for Continuing Professional Education and Development. The first AAIG Caravan was hosted early last July 12 by the University of Santo Tomas, Office of the Vice Rector for Academic Affairs. The second one was conducted last August 5, 2022 for Region I and the Cordillera Administrative Region and was hosted and led by our local convener, Don Mariano Marcos State University, La Union. Now here we are, gathered today in our growing commitment to journey together towards the emergence of an AAIG community of champions, advocates, and partners for transformative education from Industry 4.0 towards a human-centric Industry 5.0. In this light, I wish to welcome you all as we embark on the third Caravan for our 2022 AAIG Caravan Series for Region IV and the Calabarzon, hosted by VIII colleges, entitled Linking Stakeholders to Strengthen Community Engagement. Cognizant of multiple challenges that thousands of our fresh graduates experience in search for a rewarding and meaningful employment and career in the field of work, the idea of AAIG collaboration for educational transformation was born in 2019. To better appreciate this AAIG endeavor, let us get to know more about it. AAIG stands for the Academe, Alumni, Sustainable, and Inclusive to bridge, and lessen the gaps in the transition from the academe to the industry of fresh alumni, thus promoting a smooth school-to-work transition by implementing a work expertise and resources. Indeed, let us not set aside alumni power, but recognize the formidable role it can play, since the alumni of our academic institutions are the same human resources that now power and will power our industries and academe and government. It is hoped that as we forge strategic alliances for alumni-centric initiatives, we can nurture new ways of thinking, communicating.
I believe we are having some technical difficulties. So again, I believe we are having some technical difficulties. And now let's listen to Dr. Fe Hidalgo for another informative talk about the what and why of AAIG.
The AAIG Caravan 2022 series is about coming together towards meaningful public and private partnerships, as mentioned before. It is coming together of hopes and of dreams, coming to life for all those involved in education, in policy making, and implementation. It is the beginning of a more progressive initiative or initiatives for development. This is towards productive partnerships and networks in the immediate future and in the long term for progress and development. of this beloved country. AAIG is anchored on the belief that education must serve society as an instrument for fostering the creation, the advancement, and dissemination of knowledge in the midst of an Industry 4.0 stage and even beyond. And that requires skills for renewed focus on life skills, on career skills. The digital literacies call for higher order thinking, for initiatives and inventive thinking as well from all of us. AAIG is cognizant of the triple goals of equity, of career and life skills, and inventive thinking, as I mentioned earlier. This is not only a listening moment, but a coming together and a springboard for collaborative efforts towards more action, as Dr. Henry Tenedoro puts it. AAIG shall endeavor to enable our children to attain the fullest realization of their potentials, their dreams, and our dreams. This is a huge task, but it is time for us to come together and move our talk in the spirit of collaboration. Please hop in, therefore. Welcome and good morning, everyone. The AAIG Caravan 2022.
Thank you, Professor Chonko and Dr. Hidalgo, for the informative talk about the essence and journey of the AAIG. Again, thank you for believing in our students' potentials and for helping us grow through sharing skills that are beneficial to us and to our community. Now, let us all welcome Mr. Don Timothy Buhain, CEO of Rex Education, our main sponsor for this Caravan series, for his message.
Quality education is often viewed as a stepping stone to employment. Yet year after year, graduating students face the daunting task of adapting to an ever-changing landscape of career and recruitment. While the trial by fire may initially seem formidable, it's not meant to be dismaying because it is not meant to be undertaken alone. This can be witnessed in how alumni, academics, industries, and governments work tirelessly to cultivate spaces where each graduate has the opportunity to thrive. It is truly an honor to be able to say that Rex is part of this collective. For 7 decades, Rex has been steadfast in its commitment to advancing lifelong learning for every Filipino. Our humble beginnings can be traced back to selling and publishing books for basic and tertiary level law and professionals, establishing Rex as a pioneer in the educational publishing industry. Developing books and other learning materials continue to be part of our core solution. Now, in response to the changing needs of our learners, we support education in all forms and provide 21st century learning solutions. Educators, learners, and parents alike can trust Rex to develop assessment tools, digital learning solutions, and experiential solutions reflective of the current times. A big part of crafting these solutions entail constant communication and collaboration. Ensuring quality education for all demands a whole of society approach, which is why I am a firm believer in the importance of events such as these. To have AAIG sparking conversation on the state of our system is non-negotiable in helping us achieve our mission. Inspire every individual to advance oneself, uplift others, and sustain the environment to a better world. As fresh graduates and young alumni endeavor to practice their professions and vocation, we, members of the AAIG, exist at the forefront of building transformative educative communities for them. In many ways, it is our moral obligation to ensure that students are able to transition seamlessly to the world of work. Despite the disorder and disturbances that at times plague the field, REX is devoted to working jointly with fellow champions of education. The AAIG Caravan is a step in that direction. To all our educators, school leaders, and partner educampions who are here with us today, thank you for championing education and advancing the industry for the learners of today and tomorrow. Welcome to the AAIG 2022 Caravan Series. It is my hope that this partnership is an unceasing one and that we can continuously come together to discuss what more we can do for the learners who are transitioning to this crucial stage of our lives. As we always say at REX, para sa bata, para sa mamamayan, para sa bayan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Buhaid, and thank you, Rex Education, for the continued support to our movement of having a better educational experience amidst pandemic and unfamiliar transitions. Sabi nga, para sa bata, all for our learners. And now I would like to introduce to you our first speaker. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our first speaker. He is an electronics and semiconductor manufacturing professional and is the president of Fastec Synergy Limited. He has over 30 years of industry experience and has worked on various electronic technologies from inception to its eventual business adoption for global trade and commerce, spanning semiconductors and electronic systems, and more recently to the data-driven intelligence systems. Mr. Allen had a unique opportunity to have worked in this key technology areas over the years. In the past, Mr. Timonera had been involved in some pioneering works for the electronics industry in the Philippines. Among these was the setup of the first hard disk drive factory in the Philippines in the late 1980s and the setup of one of the first integrated circuit or IC design company in the country in 1991. In 2012, he embarked on his first collaboration with academe that later became the Center for Microelectronics Development at VIII colleges in Batangas. Mr. Timonera is also an adjunct professor at the Asian Institute of Management, teaching operations management for Industry 4.0. He has actively participated in the industry trade advocacy through the Semiconductor and Electronics Industry in the Philippines Incorporated, or SAPI, and more recently, he became one of the core founding members of Advanced Manufacturing Workforce Development Alliance, which aims to spearhead the upskilling of the manufacturing workforce in the country for the Industry 4.0 era. Mr. Timonera is a graduate of University of Santo Tomas in Electronics and Communications Engineering and holds a Master of Science in Data Science from the Asian Institute of Management. He also serves on the board of directors of VIII colleges, IXL Security, and Agile Landev Incorporated, and is the founder and owner of food distribution company, The Fodder Crate Incorporated. Let us all welcome Engineer Alan P. Timonera.
Thank you for the generous introduction, Patricia. And good morning, everyone. Today I was invited by the AAIG, and I would like to express my thanks for the invitation for this morning's event. I would speak briefly on the perspective of, from the lens of an enterprise as it engages the community. In doing so, we may be looking also at the lens of what we call traditional lenses, and I would like to talk about what a future lens could be. And in that regard, business as an enterprise would look at its immediate community as its customers and its suppliers. Beyond that, we would put it on a different basket, whether that's the community where we operate on, the government, the academe, and other agencies, perhaps. So in that context, the linkages that I would like to share and discuss and share my thoughts on would be on the latter. Just briefly allow me to share with you some of the few slides I have prepared. So let me start with the statement. When we talk about community in the traditional lens or sense, is that enterprise engages the community on what I call characterized by a donor-donor or recipient relationship, where enterprises gives, helps, and this can be in the form of either a job fair, for example. Companies reach out to schools, organize at certain times of the year these activities. Other more developed organizations have what they call their CSR programs. They conduct missions, sometimes on a sustainable basis as well. Other times, this outreach can come in the form of episodic engagement, either because there are commemorative periods, celebrations, other times less than desirable in times of calamity and disasters. Obviously, the pandemic that happened in the last couple of years. So this how I would say what the lens looks like from the enterprise level when we talk about community outreach beyond our immediate community of customers and suppliers. However, looking at this from this lens fails to see the potential to go beyond and make a more meaningful engagement. I posit that enterprise and community relationship can go beyond current practices. Essentially, I would like to posit that this relationship could be developed into a more two-way relationship. The enterprise also gives and receives from the community around it when it engages them. It can be synergistic, meaning it really is helping the enterprise as well as the community on its core needs. Being synergistic enables this relationship to be a going concern eventually. Not episodic, not an afterthought. In other words, this can be a form of a grassroots type of nation building. Okay. Now, the past 2 years that the entire world has gone through has shifted certain ways of doing things in education, in the delivery of services, and in fact, in the way enterprises operate. These shifts can be seen both as a challenge and as an opportunity. So when we talk about going beyond, when I try to see through the lens of whether it's something that will just have to happen in the future, or is it something that is practical and, as we say in business, executable today. When we say we go beyond, I would like to use the word from a previous government campaign. We have what we call OTO, or one town, one product. You could actually just relabel it into something like one barangay, one product or service. What I'm saying is the thought of a community-based supply chain, given the challenges that happened in the pandemic, starting to make more sense. Before, there was really the lean on or lean in towards a more globalized supply chain. But the recent pandemic has showed the weaknesses, certain weaknesses in that model. The community will have to evolve as well. We have what we call traditional based co-ops or small and medium enterprise. The thought is that this doesn't have to be low technology. They can be more value adding activities, but operating within that vicinity of the physical community or geographical area. And I would like to use the word a community-based supply chain. And to be more concrete about it, the Calabarzon region hosts a good majority of the electronics industry. In fact, the electronics industry as a whole, taken together, exports $45 billion. And when I say 70% of that comes from the region, that's a lot of value. That's a market in itself. So what am I talking about? Are we talking about the big high technology? No, we can start somewhere easier. There's probably 50,000 what we call employees that use gloves. 1 million gloves a month, if you may. That doesn't require a high technology approach. And it can generate, spread over, say, 3 barangays, revenues, and you can do the math. Another way, or another thing that happened that made us think how the future of work would look like as we have been pushed by the pandemic is that, and I'm not going through this on a chronological order, is the thought of what we call gig economy, for lack of a better word. Okay. We normally say, oh, let's organize a job fair with the intention, again, of creating that employment. There's nothing wrong with that, obviously. But the future of work and the way enterprises are moving forward is that we need to tap beyond the traditional means of acquiring talent, be it in the form of employment or what we call service provided for by knowledge workers. Okay. Obviously, in a factory, you need people to be physically present, but there are activities beyond the physical manufacture that are equally important in the operations of an enterprise. Gig economy allows us to go beyond the traditional borders. We used to define borders as a geographical location where we operate. Now, we need to expand that definition into the virtual realm. A community in the virtual realm with a common purpose and aspiration, perhaps. So, this view of a new community that goes beyond the traditional definition allows us to tap into resources that we would have otherwise not considered. Eventually, companies that operate have what we call expertise. We can, and a lot of companies have assisted communities in providing or sharing their knowledge. But it's a two-way street. Okay. If we talk about communities in the traditional sense of the barangay, at the town level, city, or even at the provincial level, this brain trust is an enormous resource that could be tapped. It's kind of an expertise outreach, whether it's in the field of environment protection, sustainability practices, community-based infrastructures. There are people in the private enterprise that can be tapped. But again, as we say, the counterpart has to up their game. Okay. Doing so around this new lens of engagement would, I believe, provide what I said earlier, of a two-way, synergistic, and going concern engagement. Recently, I have had the fortunate involvement, if I may, of being part of the Advanced Manufacturing Workforce Development. This is a USAID-funded endeavor comprised with what we call lighthouse companies. The objective of which is to anticipate the needs of the workforce as certain sectors in the industry transition to the Industry 4.0 era. This means some of the things that we used to do will be changed. It requires upskilling our current employees, preparing the new entrants for these new areas of knowledge or work. And we have constituted ourselves as a community with common purpose and aspiration in 5 years to upskill 10,000 of the workforce. And we are eager as much to share this with our partner institutions, the higher education institutes. We want to work with them. And that's why in this endeavor, the funding, in fact, as I said, as a partnership with the USAID and with the enterprise, comes to about, it's rather large, let me just put it, roughly about $500 million pesos of funding in the next 5 years. So these are scaled up efforts. By itself, a single enterprise may not have the scale to impact much, but pulled together within that community, I say, that has a common purpose and aspiration, it has a potential, especially when partnered with other stakeholders, potential to scale up and really make a significant impact to the community. It's possible, it's happening, but we need, as I said, everyone has to need to up their game. And I would like to end my thoughts on this topic for this morning on that note. Thank you and good morning again.
We'd like to thank Engineer Timonera for that in-depth sharing about community relationships, grassroots nation building, and going beyond through the lenses of electronics industry, and sharing with us on how we can improve the Region 4A community. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed Engineer Timonera's amazing presentation. That was just our first speaker, but I have learned a lot. I hope it is the same with you, our audiences. Now, a little reminder to our participants before we proceed. Please don't forget to write down your questions for each speaker at the Q&A box, because we will collect this and address them during the open forum session. Now, let us proceed to the next presentation. Our second speaker earned her Doctor in Business Administration from Batangas State University, Master in Business Administration from Lyceum of the Philippines University, Master in Business Administration from the Lyceum of the Philippines University, Batangas, and Bachelor of Science in Commerce, major in Accounting from the University of Santo Tomas. She has been active and held various positions in different professional organizations, such as Vice President for Professional Development, Philippine Association of Certified Public Accountants, PICPA Lipa City Chapter, Board of Director and founding member of Philippine Academy of Accountants in Business, Research, and Education, PAABRE, President-elect of the Council of Deans and Educators in Business, Region 4A, CODAB 4A. Currently, she is Executive Vice President of Philippine Association of Certified Public Accountants, PICPA Lipa City Chapter. She is also a Certified Public Accountant and has received numerous awards from various professional organizations, such as the Certificate of Recognition awarded by the Philippine Association of Colleges and Universities Commission on Accreditation, PACOCOA, as the accreditor in the area of faculty, instruction, and research of business and accountancy programs, and the Certificate of Recognition from the Commission on Higher Education Region 4A as an ARCAT member for business and accountancy programs. Currently, she is a director for finance and administration of Lima Park Hotel, a four-star hotel located in Malvar, Batangas, and the senior vice president for academics and research of VIII colleges. Let us all welcome Dr. Lalaine V. Manalo.
Okay, good morning everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me here today. Ako po ay isang proud Tomasian din, no? Commerce, BS Commerce, Batch 85. And I'm really delighted to be part of this activity. Okay. All right. So, well, we all know that Industry 4.0 has brought changes, no, in various aspects of human life, and that includes the education system. Well, it is said that this will transform industries, no, such that much of the work that exists today may no longer exist, no, 50 years from now. And it is imperative, therefore, no, for people and for us, no, educators, to understand the impact of these changes, especially to our students and future graduates. Well, I must say that I'm not really an expert on this field. You see, I'm not an IT person nor an engineer, so I don't really have an idea on how these things work, no, like the artificial intelligence, the IoT, cloud computing, and all. And perhaps some of you can relate with me, you know, particularly those who are about, no, to retire in just a few years. Well, good thing Engineer Alan Timonera is here with us today. He can take care of the technical side, no, maybe. Okay, but however, as I've said, as teachers, no, we have the responsibility to prepare future graduates for work, no. So hence, the need arises for HEIs to align their teaching and processes with technological advancements. Okay. Now, just very quickly, because I'm sure most of you already know about this, please allow me to start my presentation also with the evolution of education. Okay, education 1.0 is, of course, the traditional one. No, students go to school to get education from their teachers, and the usual routine includes the use of class notes, handouts, maybe textbooks, no, and other learning materials. And then in the new millennium, technology began to infiltrate the education process, and both students and teachers started to utilize technology in basic ways, no? And this is known as education 2.0. This includes more interaction between the teacher and the student to student, and student to an expert or the content. And then as this technology advanced, Education 3.0 was formed. Students now have their own access to information. They have the option to learn virtually, and they use platforms to easily connect with faculty and other students. Education was no longer centered between students and teachers, but instead took on a more network approach, you know, with students having their own connection to a variety of different information sources. I think most HEI, especially the smaller ones, no, like our school, not VIII colleges, are currently on this phase, no, thanks to the pandemic, because teachers were forced to go online, which also somehow sped up the digital transformation of schools, and making them better prepared to support the next phase, which is Education 4.0. Now, based on my readings, Education 4.0 is a purposeful approach to learning that lines up with the fourth industrial revolution, and it is all about transforming the future of education using advanced technology and automation. It emphasizes the need to prepare students to take on challenges. And with Education 4.0, our role as teachers is more of facilitators, while students should be adept with skills by the fast-changing technology. Sabi nga po, they should be led but not instructed, but information should be made accessible but should not be fed to them. Okay. Now, with that said, I think for us to better prepare our future graduates, it would be best to identify what skills are required of them in the workplace. Okay, based on the future of jobs presented in the World Economic Forum last May, by 2025, new jobs will emerge and others be displaced by a shift in the division of labor between humans and machines. Can we go to the next slide? Ayan. Okay, next slide, please. So there, as you can see, in this slide, there will be a growing demand for jobs like data analysts and scientists, okay, AI and machine learning specialists, specialists also for big data, digital marketing, process automation, business development, digital transformation, ayan, and the IoT or the Internet of Things. So mukhang kami ang mawawalan ng trabaho, the accountants. Ayan. Okay, and relevant to that, maybe we can go to the next slide. Okay, this shows the top 10 skills of 2025 based on the same report of WEF. Okay, number one here is analytical thinking and innovation. So given the level of disruption that took place during the pandemic, the ability to deconstruct information to draw conclusions tops the list. So the WEF report stated that employers look for employees with the ability to investigate a problem and find the ideal solution in a timely and efficient manner. Okay, number two here is active learning and learning strategies. According to the same report, almost 94% of the business leaders who were surveyed expect their workers to learn new skills on the job. Okay, and that's a massive increase from 65% in the year 2018. Number three is complex problem solving. So when employers talk about problem solving skills, they're often referring to the ability to handle difficult or unexpected situations in the workplace, as well as complex business challenges. So organizations rely on people who can assess both kinds of situations and can identify solutions. Okay, then of course, number four, critical thinking and analysis. So according to the report, the disruption induced by the pandemic has necessitated the rapid resolution of process inefficiencies, management, and even financial matters. And undoubtedly, critical thinking and analytical skills are going to give workers and leaders an edge in ensuring consistent growth in times of crisis. Okay, of course, number five, again, we have creativity, originality, and initiative. Number six is leadership and social influence. Maybe because strong professional ties are the backbone of today's highly connected business world. So managers and leaders who can maintain these ties or who can expand client relationships and support others with their interpersonal skills and advanced communication are the ones greatly sought after also by organizations. Okay, number seven, so another skill that employers also look for employees is technology use, monitoring, and control skill. 8 is technology design and programming. And then number 9 is resilience, stress tolerance, and flexibility. Okay. And finally, number 10 is reasoning, problem solving, and ideation. Now, this is also a highly sought after skill, especially in today's fast-paced environment. Okay. Now, the big question is, so how do we prepare our students or future graduates for these Industry 4.0 skills? So as I have mentioned earlier, I'm not an expert in this field. So these are just suggestions based mostly on some studies and articles I read. No? And I'm sure there could be more. Perhaps you can also share with us some of your insights later, no? After this talk. So number one, I think is to create awareness, no? And more importantly, increase students' interest in Industry 4.0 jobs. And this can be done through conduct of webinars, seminars and trainings for both faculty and students. Because teachers also need to gain knowledge and skills, no, by adapting to the latest innovations in teaching and learning process to produce more skilled, talented, and creative, no, students. Then maybe when we talk to students, we can also talk about the salary upside of Industry 4.0 jobs, because most students are motivated, no, by earning potential. So maybe we can give them real world examples of what they can expect to make if they have certain skills and certifications. Then we can also take the students, no, to plant visits so that students will understand the skills needed to work in such a place, no, especially the manufacturing plants. Or we can also show them some videos, no, of these manufacturing plants, no. We can wherein they can share the experience and preview the skills that need to be learned. So as much as possible, I think there's a need to expose, no, our students to new technologies so as to increase, no, to arouse their interest in Industry 4.0. And then second, number two, is to include subjects, no, or maybe the topics about Industry 4.0 in the curriculum. So this means teaching students about this technology, no, as part of the curriculum. And of course, the biggest change we're likely to see, as part of Education 4.0 is a deeper fusion, no, of technology into the teaching process. Now, the curriculum must be able to direct and shape students ready to face the Industrial Revolution era with maybe an emphasis, no, on the fields of STEM or science, technology, engineering, and math. Okay, number three, align teaching, no, and learning methods with the skills needed in the future. And one method of doing so is by encouraging accelerated remote learning, where the students learn the theories remotely using digital means, while ensuring any practical skills, no, are still learned face-to-face or in person. No? So this is said to be a more flexible way of learning that requires accountability and good time management. Well, I think in fact, no, most HEIs are already implementing this mode of learning, no, when CHED started to allow the conduct of limited face-to-face classes. Now, another method that's been suggested is personalized learning. So wherein the more difficult tasks are introduced to the student only after a certain level or certain mastery level, no, is achieved. Okay. Now, still another is project-based learning. So it is believed that through this method, students can somehow improve, no, their abilities on problem solving, collaboration, teamwork, and time management. And then, of course, no, we should not forget international mindfulness, no, because in a digital interconnected world, employees of the future will need to have a global mindset. Okay, next, number four. All right, so we have on-the-job trainings or the internships. According to the WEF, more than 4 in 5 employers believe internships can prepare graduates to succeed in their companies. Interns develop interpersonal skills, team working skills, professionalism, as well as they're able to improve their communication skills, confidence, and self-efficacy. So those with internship experience are more likely, no, to find jobs later on and earn more. Okay. Number 5 is to partner with industry. Of course, when we partner with local companies, not only can we do some company visits, but we can also bring in industry people to talk to our students, share their path and what they are doing now. No, so we are actually doing this in some of our engineering subjects where we invite industry practitioners to team teach and talk about what is actually happening in the workplace. Now, of course, in our case, we are fortunate to have FastTech as one of our partners, being a FATES affiliate. So our engineering students are having their OJTs there, and some of our engineering teachers are likewise involved in their projects. Okay, 6 is collaborative research. Okay, so I think students need to work in a framework of projects, and from there they need to collaborate with their colleagues, with their teachers, and even outside the school. They need to develop new ways of communicating, to be put in front of complex situations in order to develop critical thinking and complex problem solving. And to learn how to be imaginative, creative, and flexible. Later, I will show you some of the capstone projects of our CS&ID students. Okay, and then of course number 7, I think the last one, is upgrade the facilities. Because education 4.0 involves the use of gadgets or tablets, tools, as smartphones also. These are supportive tools in the classroom and focuses on smart and innovative technology. So HEIs must embrace this massive educational transformation, bringing to campus the tools that will help both students and faculty embrace the new model as quickly as possible. Okay, now at this point, let me share with you some of the baby steps. Baby steps po ang tawag ko. So we just started doing now. These are just the steps that we have started doing now at VIII colleges in response to this need. Aside from the projects in collaboration with FastTech, okay, and some of our partner industries. Okay. Through the school's innovation hub, Brain Sparks. Now we have this Brain Sparks in school. Our students get to participate in startup webinars, sparkathons, and design thinking events. The school also conducts regular brown bag lunches for both our faculty and students to provide them opportunities to share knowledge and current trends happening in their respective areas. Because by doing so, participants are able to learn the latest trends and innovations in technology, education, and other fields. Okay, and then as a result of the pandemic, we also now make use of various digital platforms. Although the Genio, we've been using this in our basic education schools since I think 2002, LMS platforms. We also have the Google Classroom, okay, Google Workspace, and then for meeting platforms, of course, we make use of the Zoom and the Google Meet, the use of Yopad also in the basic education schools, Discord for esports platform, and yeah, that's it. And of course, our enrollment system has also been made online. Okay. Now, through the Drone Academy program of VIII, so we also have this project at VIII. Squadron pilots were born, and they were able to show off their skills in flying drones, showcasing a light show instead of fireworks in one of our events in school. So, because in the future, we plan to make use of drones for research purposes. Okay. And then next is the project eSmart, where VIII is part of. This is a 2-year project that aims to streamline solution interventions for the rehabilitation of Manila Bay through hydrodynamic and material transport analysis of the integrated Manila Bay, Pasig River, Laguna Lake, as well as the surrounding watershed system using numerical modeling. Now, part of the project is the installation of weather stations in strategic locations within the Manila Bay watershed area, and one potential area for installation is inside the VIII campus. Okay. Another one, the one of the LGUs in Batangas was also digitally transformed through the help of our school by providing an online database system for their scholars. No, the YDO scholarship system provides opportunities for students to apply for scholarships, especially during the pandemic. And also through Brain Sparks, the school took part in the Youth Challenge, which was an initiative of the Jollibee Group Foundation. The program is called FEP, or which stands for Farmer Entrepreneurship Program Youth Challenge. So this is the very first by Jollibee, and they handpicked only 8 tertiary schools in the country to participate. 2 groups from VIII made it to the top 5 and were given research grants to pursue their proposed innovation for farmers. Okay. And also during the Taal volcano eruption, the Buckwheat Finder app, it's a mobile application to locate evacuees and find evacuation centers in the province of Batangas, was developed by our faculty and students under the College of Computing and Information Technology. Same college was also able to produce IoT-based systems as outputs from their capstone projects, like the Smart Coin Bank, which is a smart saving bank for students, a smart power meter that will turn off the appliance via your mobile phone. They also have that Smart Bigasan, which measures the humidity of the rice. The meter link, a smart electric meter that will inform the citizens of their power consumption. And then they also have this Piso Print, a self-service printing device for students powered by Bluetooth. And then some of their machine learning projects, we have the Student Recruitment Predictor, a project that predicts if the student will most likely enroll or not in a university, and the tree identification model, which identifies the species of trees once images are captured. Also, various new games were developed by the pioneer batch of our BSEMC students, such as the following. We have the Elementia, which includes strategies to promote awareness about climate change. Then we have the Faith Savants, which provides gamified real-life experience of our faith students. And the Siklab, which is a game which explores the myth and folklores in the Filipino culture. And of course, in order to encourage our students to have a global mindset, we also joined Passage to ASEAN, or the P2A. Passage to ASEAN is driven by the need for regional solidarity and a shared responsibility towards people and society as a whole. It was initiated with the principle that higher education should be a leader in the development of society. And finally, just very recently, the school upgraded its computer laboratories with higher specs to support machine learning, animation, and game development facilities. Okay. Now, as a conclusion, higher education in the industry 4.0 is really, truly complex, but it also brings exciting opportunities which can potentially transform society for the better. So the need for HEIs to respond is urgent, as this will necessarily require much more interdisciplinary teaching, research, and innovation. Furthermore, I think we need to be able to communicate this effectively to our students and address the concerns they have for the future. And as educators, I think we just have to assure them that we will get there, we're working on it, and that we are considering the challenges as well as the opportunities that come with automation. So that's all about it. Thank you, and have a good day, everyone.
That was a very informative talk by Dr. Manalo, and thank you for providing us with different learning methods so that we can absorb all the skills and knowledge we need to easily adapt in this fast-changing world, and also by preparing the communities where we are set to land and serve. Thank you, and I hope everyone's taking notes because it is really an educational talk. Again, please don't forget to write down your questions for each speaker at the Q&A box. We will collect this and address them during the open forum session. Let us now proceed to our next presentation. Our third speaker earned her Bachelor of Arts in Communication Arts and Master of Arts in Communication Arts, both from the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, and her Doctor of Communication from the University of the Philippines, Open University. She holds various positions in a department, college, and university levels of UPLB and in the UP system level. Currently, she is a member of the Academic Personnel Committee of the Department of Humanities, Extension Coordinator, and Assistant Professor 6 of the College of Arts and Sciences, Director of the Office of the Counseling and Guidance, Office of the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, and a member of Students in Distress Committee in the UP system. She has developed new academic courses in speech communication strategies and conflict resolution and nonverbal communication. She has presented several researches and international conference paper presentations held in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand. She also published her paper entitled Comparative Analysis of Corporate Social Responsibility Practices of Selected Philippine Conglomerates. She has facilitated and conducted various trainings and seminars inside and outside UPLB. May I call on the Director of Office of Counseling and Guidance of the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, Dr. Jaya Agnes T. Buera.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Patricia, Miss Patricia. Thank you, everyone. Allow me to share my slide. There you go. I hope you can see it. Not yet. Let me check again. Here you go. Apologies. I can't see it from my end. I hope you can see it from yours.
Not yet po, Dr.
Not yet. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. How about this one? I think I'm sharing. How about this one? Can you see it now?
Yes po.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. Apologies for that. All right. Thank you very much, Miss Patricia. And thank you to the
FB po yung nakashare nila.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me stop that. Okay. This one. I think. Okay. How about this one?
Okay na po.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Again, thank you very much to the organizers of the AAIG Caravan Series for having me. I'm very happy to share with you our community, the UPLB OCG. Okay, so the UPLB OCG is aligned with the university's vision in future-proofing UPLB. We help empower students for holistic development through psychosocial programs and services like counseling and guidance. And the services that we offer also include psychological testing, among others. Now, the counseling services aim to provide UPLB stakeholders the opportunity to express themselves, clarify various emotional concerns, feelings, conflicts, their plans, and other aspirations. We have our 7 guidance services specialists catering to 15,000 students. That's why we need all the help that we can get from our stakeholders. We also offer career development services wherein we partner with companies, exceptional alumni, and students to provide assistance to our students in career planning by providing information on job opportunities and employment trends. This would involve career consultations, visitations, and even webinars during the pandemic. So here are some of our guests, resource speakers during the recent third UPLB Career Convention. Now, it's important to take note of the other relationships that we've built throughout the years with the companies, the alumni, as well as the students. So OCG also aims to push the goal of, we have this tagline, home away from home, to our UPLB constituents. And after the worldwide pandemic, we're more isolated than ever, and mental health has become, mental health concerns, illnesses are soaring. And so we came up with this webinar series, Health Orientation on Problems from Emotional Stress. And we've invited mental health professionals to help address issues, especially this webinar series was conducted last year, and we've received it was bittersweet because we've had thousands of participants. It was CTS because everyone was very proactive, participative, but we were also saddened by the the increasing number of students as well as other stakeholders that are experiencing mental health concerns. Now, to address this issue, I mentioned that we only have very limited number of guidance services specialists. And so we needed the help of our students, of our faculty members, as well as our researchers and administrative staff. And so the UP system came up with this program, Sandigan Sandalan, a UPLB peer mental health training program for peer counselors, advocates. We trained students, faculty members, who completed the psychological first aid trainings facilitated by the UP system. So in this way, students from other colleges can help other students cope, adjust to the university life, especially during the pandemic. Now, we also have extension services wherein we cater to the needs, financial needs of our community stakeholders. During the pandemic, we've facilitated Kalinga Kita. This is a series of webinars wherein we focus on financial literacy, and we've invited entrepreneurs, innovators to share their experiences and ways to help to earn and at the same time take care of oneself. After the elections, we've also conducted Kalingang Kaibigan, or handling your emotions after the elections, because many students were saddened or many were affected because of it. And so we came up with this consultation, counseling session with our students as well as faculty and staff. Our extension services extend to animals. We're very inclusive. We include animals as a form of an intervention program. AAI, or Animal Assisted Intervention Program, is one way to help our students cope with stress, cope with the difficulties that are happening in their lives. And so with AAI, we cater to the animals as well as to the students and other stakeholders. And we have these therapy sessions wherein the animals serve as therapy pets. And this is actually a good icebreaker, for the students, especially if they are a bit hesitant to share their problems. But when there are animals, trained animals involved, they tend to open up more, and they become more relaxed, at ease, and they're able to share what they're going through. Our extension services also includes donation drives like what engineer mentioned earlier, Engineer Timonera. We also have outreach programs wherein we help students. We provide school supplies provided by the companies. These school supplies are shared by the companies that we've partnered with during the career convention. And so we share them to students from nearby communities. But actually, this one was in Siniloan in the land grant. And so we went there for a team building. At the same time, we brought school supplies for the kids of the staff, and also the citizens of Siniloan. Okay, now as a faculty member, I personally extend extension services through trainings with different agencies, collaborations with different institutions such as UP Open University, UP Pahinungod, among others. We conduct sessions on literacy, training on writing, as well as mental health promotion programs with different government institutions. Okay, so how do we strengthen stakeholder engagement? So I mentioned now we have stakeholders, our students, our faculty and staff, mental health professionals. We collaborate with UPLB alumni, with companies, industries, and the communities. Because without them, UPLB OCG loses its worth. This is why strengthening stakeholder engagement is very important. The linking of the term community to engagement serves to broaden the scope as it shifts the focus from the individual to the collective, and this is with associated implications for inclusivity and of diversity of interests. And so we value our stakeholders, we value we want to strengthen our stakeholder engagement. So it reminds us that citizens, participants are engaged. Actually, they're very much engaged when they play a meaningful role in the discussions, in the conceptualization, in decision-making, and especially in the implementation of the projects or programs. So what do we do? How do we do this? So we manage expectations. That's number one. This is where trust comes into play. Each of our stakeholder has expectations, sometimes false expectations that we have to correct right away. Now, working with our team will clarify many of these expectations or false expectations or preconceived notions. And so careful planning and preparation will ensure that the process serve both a clearly defined purpose and the needs of the participants. So it's important also to lead with integrity. When we say leading with integrity, you say what you mean and you mean what you say. And then do what you said you would do. So that is leading with integrity. It's also important to work with your team and not just, delegate tasks, etc. You have to know the ins and outs of the projects because you are the decision maker. You have a big say, and so you have to know the details of the project because the best project managers work with their stakeholders to break down their projects into deliverable tasks. So if you know these things, it's going to be more efficient, more effective on both ends. And this helps everyone to have a better understanding of the project. And most likely, your stakeholders will support the plan that they helped also create. Okay. So when we say impact and action, it's important to ensure that each engagement effort has a real potential to make a difference and that participants are aware of that potential so that they are more encouraged to support, do their tasks, and also go beyond what's expected from them. So that is number one, managing expectations. And then number two is to include diverse stakeholders, including demographic diverse stakeholders, by listening to the different voices, ideas, and information to lay this would actually help lay the groundwork for quality outcomes, because you have different perspectives, and so from these different perspectives you'll be able to come up with this one brilliant project. So collaboration, shared purpose, supporting, encouraging your participants, as well as continuous collaboration with government and the community, government institutions and the community, to work together and to advance the goal, the purpose. What is the purpose of this project? And so by working together, by being open to learning and listening, by being more attentive, listening to each other, exploring new ideas, and maybe setting aside predetermined assumptions, and learning and applying information in ways that would generate new options, and also rigorously evaluating communication engagement activities for effectiveness. That's why in every program or in every project that we do, we have evaluation. I'm sure you do. You also have your own, and so we actually have interns from the Institute of Statistics. So they also do their internship with us, and they help us with the data. And so that helps a lot. It's actually very mutually beneficial. Okay, so include diverse stakeholders. Now, when you include diverse stakeholders, it's very important to identify them early, because you can't engage stakeholders until you know who they are. So as you are initiating the projects, start identifying your stakeholders and identifying the maybe you can create a project stakeholder plan. So this would help the group and the stakeholders be better acquainted with the expectations, with the timeline, etc. So it's very important to seek to understand before being understood. Again, it's important to seek to understand first before you are being understood, because I mentioned earlier, listen. And when I say listen, is to really listen, because it takes a lot more effort, more energy to really listen, and then just, hearing the things that maybe I'm saying right now. But it takes a lot of energy to really listen to the person speaking. Part of understanding is making time, paying attention, giving that person attention, and listening without interfering or interrupting, and maybe asking follow-up questions, probing questions for better understanding. Okay. And the third one, to strengthen stakeholder engagement, is to future-proof community engagement. So this is the vision of the university, and this is also what we are advocating to do in the office, to future-proof the processes, the engagements. And so how do we do this? How do we future-proof? How do we sustain engagement and participatory culture? Because sometimes sa simula lang, and then at the end, parang nawawala na, or in the middle, nagkakaroon ng plateau. But how do we do that? How do we sustain participatory culture? We can do that by promoting a culture of collaboration, participation, with institutions that support common goals, that you have the same advocacy, you have the same cause, and this would build unshakable loyalty and engagement. When you do things with integrity, when you spark alignment by making stakeholders a core part of your program, and by building genuine relationships with your stakeholders, this is feasible, this is possible. And so communicating. The C's, I've heard this earlier, communicating. 90% of the time you are communicating. Orally or non-verbally, you are doing that. So you have to be more aware, more adept of the effective communication skills. And so by doing this, we understand, we know that creating relationships that are built on trust, respect, compassion, and empathy go a long way in building strong and lasting partnerships with our stakeholders. And with that, kindly allow me to leave this quote by Ianla Van Zandt: "The way to achieve your success is to be willing to help somebody else get it first." So yun lamang po. Maraming salamat po at Diyos mabalos po sa Indogabos.
Thank you very much, Dr. Buera, for sharing how the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, take care of your students and neighboring communities. It is really essential to not just be supportive in terms of academics, but also with the mental and physical health of our students. And one thing that I noticed and appreciated in your ways of helping was like using the proverb, "Give a man a fish and feed him for a day, teach a man to fish and feed him for a lifetime." Because it wasn't just giving the students what they need, but also teaching them to cope up and to help themselves. Again, thank you for that informative talk. And I hope everyone enjoyed Dr. Buera's amazing presentation, especially my co-students from the College of Arts, Sciences, and Education. And again, I want to remind all the participants to not forget to write down your questions for each speaker at the Q&A box. We will collect these and address them during the open forum session. And now on to our last presentation. Allow me to introduce our fourth speaker. He is from the Commission on Higher Education, Region 4A. Prior to his appointment as the OIC Office of the Director 4 of CHED, he was the Education Supervisor and OIC Chief Administrative Officer of CHED Region 4A. To share with us his thoughts on transitioning back to full face-to-face classroom learning, a call for community support and engagement, may I call on the new OIC Office of the Director 4, Dr. Freddy B. Bulawan.
Participants of academe, alumni, industry, and government, Caravan 2022 for me to be part of the AAIG Convergence community of champions and advocates. Today, I will be sharing with you some insights on how the community support and engagement is indispensable in transitioning back to full face-to-face classroom learning. The world was wreaked in havoc during the coronavirus outbreak in March 2020. All sectors globally had been hit hard, and the academic world that consists of millions of enrolled learners and teachers were deeply impacted. Schools were forced to close, and to continue the education process, the online classes and modular approaches were becoming their initiatives. Based on March 18, 2020, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization has recorded over 800 million learners from around the world have been affected. 1 in 5 learners cannot attend school, 1 in 4 cannot attend higher education classes, and over 102 countries have ordered nationwide school closures, while 11 have implemented localized school closure. Though education is an essential right for every citizen, young and adults, in times of pandemic, it should be delivered continuously in accordance with existing health protocols. Almost all universities worldwide have transformed their teaching partially or fully in an online or virtual mode of delivery. Aligned with the guidelines and policy of the health measures, universities must take into consideration how to maintain high academic standards and still provide a high-quality learning experience for the students. In the higher education landscape, this promoted the challenge as this transformation switched all classroom activities including laboratory programs into virtual space. Students' access to all learning materials and laboratory activities became limited, or in some areas, these were becoming very impossible. All higher education institutions across the country have become so creative in delivering quality education while considering the potential impact on the student learning experience. According to MAFI 2022, COVID-19 is not the first time that universities switched from face-to-face classes to online delivery. It was during the H1N1 influenza virus and Hurricane Katrina's landfall in August 2005. A consortium of 153 colleges and universities responded immediately to create what they call an online catalog of more than 1,300 courses, or termed as Sloan Semester, which was named after the sponsoring Alfred Sloan Foundation. Then and now, there was ample justification of what Murphy coined as an emergency e-learning approach. The challenging time brought by pandemic interrupts well-established patterns of behavior and calls for new patterns to be developed, as explained by Ford and A.D. Amelio in 2008. As schools all over the world signify the willingness to come back to face-to-face teaching or in-person approach, all must survive. Positive entropy should be the arm for the adaptation so that organization can go back to process and ensure their viability. It is remembered that in the higher education sector, as a response to the pandemic in 2020, the Commission on Higher Education, HCIs, were given academic freedom to implement available distance learning, e-learning, and alternate modes of delivery to students. Transitioning to the new normal of the education system, this academic year 2022-2023, and in the coming days might be very challenging, but it is indeed the commitment and innovation system should not create silos and insulate us to continue our mission in providing quality education. This should fuel the fire in us to be more creative and innovative, to respond, to stay committed despite all. As face-to-face learning resumes, we hope to create an environment where collaboration among partners becomes a commitment. Admit or not, the learning losses have been tremendous and all our learners have missed out on so much. We all agree that face-to-face classes will increase their motivation to learn by having the opportunity to interact with one another in person. Though there are not enough researchers to quantify for the loss of learning during pandemic, but in the joint report published in March 2020 with the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization and the World Bank, it is said that schools in the Philippines have the longest closure, which is more than 70 weeks among the 122 countries covered by the report. The global average was a closure of 20 to 21 weeks. The reopening of universities and colleges all over the country should be carefully planned to ensure the safety of all students and school partners. It was this August 2029 when the good chairman, J. Prospero de Vera, held a press conference on the updates on the implementation of face-to-face classes in higher education live via CHED Facebook page. He cited the 9 key points to save face-to-face classes in HCIs. One is COVID-19 vaccination. The CHED is allowing vaccinated and unvaccinated students, as well as employees and faculty members, to go on to face-to-face classes and go back to the work as long as additional health and safety measure will strongly be monitored by the HCIs. Second, stakeholders engagement, which recognize the importance of local government unit, partnership, and student and parent consultation as well. Third, establish crisis management committee to oversee the implementation of health and safety protocols and disseminate appropriate and relevant information to stakeholders. Fourth, school-based COVID-19 response protocols. This includes detection, screening, containment, lockdown, quarantine, isolation, emergency transfer, and disinfection, among others. Fifth is the minimum public health standards. As HCIs continue to reopen campuses for face-to-face classes, Chairman Rivera reminds the higher education community to continuously adhere to strategies proven to help stop the spread of COVID-19, including minimum public health standards, mask, hugas, iwas, continuous development of COVID-19 response protocols, and health learning institutions. Third is information campaign on benefits of COVID-19 vaccines and participation in the DOH Pinas Lakas campaign on booster shots. Six is additional health and safety protocols, includes screening and triage area, foot traffic system, visual cues, reminders, and guides. Seven is school-based COVID-19 surveillance program, which continuously monitors the COVID-19 cases among campuses. Eight, retrofitting of facilities and cyclical shifting plan as may be necessary for the alert level. And nine is Safety Zeal certification program, which affirms that an establishment is compliant with the minimum public health standards set by the government. This is an optional application. With this, the Commission on Higher Education, as a key partner of all HCIs in the Philippines, is really committed to improve student success in promoting equity to access, effective teaching and learning, and curriculum enhancement, much more in the transition of all HCIs to face-to-face classroom setting. As Jim Collins mentioned, the flywheel, when properly conceived and executed, creates both continuity and change. On the other hand, you need to stay with the flywheel long enough to get its full compounding effect. On the other hand, to keep the flywheel spinning, you need to continually redo and improve each and every component. Let this transitioning back to full face-to-face classroom learning be a call for community support and engagement as a strong component of our education system to improve, renew, and for the education to continuously spinning. Once again, thank you to our guests, dear participants, and the organizing team. Good luck to all AAIG members and continue to stimulate the emergence of AAIG advocates, champions, and community of practitioners through collaborative effort among alumni, government agencies, higher education institutions, and industry. Good day to everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bulawan, and of course to all our honorable and exemplary speakers. I hope you enjoy this amazing presentation. Again, please don't forget to write down your questions for each speaker at the Q&A box because we will collect these and address them during the open forum session. But before we proceed with the open forum, give us just a few minutes to gather all the questions for our guest speakers. For the meantime, we'll be showing short videos to acknowledge our sponsors.
Go! Junior! Hoy, Junior! Junior!
And then,
di ba may assignment ka na dapat ipasa ngayong hapon? Ako muna dyan, hoy! Ako muna. Sige na. Nagsisimula na yung basketball. Yan! Di ba, Junior? Mais ka na. Huwag ka nang para-hara dyan.
na daw. Na-excuse ka.
Oh, nabasa ko na yung case study.
Nakikita niyo, may meeting ako dito. Nakakahiya.
Ito, sa revised penal code. Tumahimik kayo dyan. Hindi na tayo maabot.
Doon ka na.
Okay ka lang? Pipi. Bakit?
Bakit di mo nagagawa assignment? Bilisan eh, kukopya ka lang eh. Anong nangyari, anak?
Anak, ano nangyari sa'yo?
Again, thank you to all our sponsors, Rex Education.
Welcome to the Academe, Alumni, Industry and Government, or AAIG 2022 Caravan Series for Region I and CAR.
The Academe, Alumni, Industry and Government 2022 Caravan Series is a reminder to always strive for excellence. Today's event is about expanding access to opportunities that can connect our love of learning, research, and service to the NSO's vision to become a premier and globally competitive university.
AAIG stands for Academe, Alumni, Industry, and Government coming together to forge strategic alliances to establish a common, innovative, and collaborative approach that is sustainable and inclusive to bridge and lessen the gaps in the transition from the academe to the industry of fresh alumni, thus promoting a smooth school-to-work transition by implementing a work-based learning continuum.
For 7 decades, Rex has been steadfast in its commitment to advancing lifelong learning for every Filipino. To have AAIG sparking conversation on the state of our system is non-negotiable in helping us achieve our mission. Inspire every individual to advance oneself, uplift others, and sustain the environment to a better world.
It is our fervent desire to champion quality higher education while being watchful to possible threats of this pandemic. I give emphasis to the importance of collaborative partnership efforts among the academe, alumni, industry, and government sectors of which the AAIG Caravan 2022 intends to accomplish. These sectors must work in harmony to attain a common goal.
Generally, some of what we hope to continue achieving amidst the pandemic are as follows. Of course, the successful learning of competencies, whether we teach virtually or physically or a combination of both. Of course, we also have to think of reducing pandemic risks. We hope to continue with our enrollment, graduation, employments, etc. The successful implementation of these 5 pillars, EGASE, means the successful capacitation of our people on various skills.
Resiliency and sustainability are two broad and strong terminologies when we speak about our country's developments. Just as I have learned at the DIMSU Open University system that people should be at the center of the policy debate, the Senate holds on to the ancient and fundamental democratic truth that given the right circumstances, ordinary people have a substantial capacity to overcome differences and discover common ground. Collaboration is that common ground.
The MSME sector is a critical driver for our country's economic growth. The sector serves as supplier and subcontractor to large enterprises and forms a strategic component of the export value chain. Thus, the need for a program that can help the micro and small enterprises become part of the growing economy and will somehow contribute in promoting transformational education. The Department of Trade and Industry endeavors to provide enabling programs to help aspiring entrepreneur roll out his or her business and engaging smarter entrepreneur to earn more.
With the onset of the pandemic, one of the most important office for which I really had been very, very close to is the MSWD. And of course, what really made us be the best versions of ourselves was during the pandemic where, you know, every now and then we get to have a glimpse of what really is to be COVID affected. So with the MSWD office, I was able to share daily activities with them, distributing food packs to all COVID-stricken families in the municipality.
The AAIG story started 3 years ago. It started with a simple dream of putting together, that's what we call it, coming together, of the 4 important strategic partners that could spell transformative education. The story will not end there, for we shall be having a lot of stopgap activities to galvanize and create a community of partners believing that only in the forging of one mind, one heart, and one soul can we truly achieve an elusive dream that has been there for so long a time, the dream of having quality education in the hearts and minds of the Filipino people.
From this gathering, we really hope that we will be able to discover in the near or far future models of partnership between the government, particularly the Senate and the DTI, and the local government, and the colleges and universities. Because we hope that we will all be able to pursue a community of practice where we will promote always the conversation among the 4 sectors.
Let us all as a collective express the clarion call to have education-driven leaders in our midst, to be one with us in making our nation a true education nation. Let us continue to build robust education ecosystems and communities of practice where spirited, and dynamic conversations flourish, ensuring fast incubation and birth of more pathways towards inclusive success.
Again, thank you to all our sponsors, Rex Education, Corona Supply, Corporation Incorporated, Paschoco Agri Ventures, and Green Life Coconut Products Philippines Incorporated. This time, we will also be listening to your insights, your reflections, experiences, and queries. May I call on Dean Henry Tenedero, the AAIG main convener and chairman of the board, UST AAI, to moderate this insightful conversations with our participants.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma'am Pat Dakanay, for splendidly moderating our discussion. So on behalf of the organizing team, before we formally go into the open forum, let me thank sincerely from the organizing team the following: Dr. Brian Vincent Belen for that wonderful opening remarks, and to our esteemed speaker, Engineer Alan Timonera, Dr. Lalaine Manalo, Dr. Timothy Buera, and then Dr. Jen Agnes Buera, and the Chedro head, Dr. Ferdi Bulawan. So the challenge that we have right now is where do we go from here? Our event will eventually come and pass, and it will become simply part of your calendar date. But the story of AAIG, which started in 2019, continues. And now it's now a caravan, a national caravan. It started as a simple dream of allowing an alumni association to champion societal causes, not merely to champion fundraising or fellowship events, but really becoming part of the societal process of change and transformation. And gladly to note that we have already reached this far. So before we formally open this forum for questions and inquiries and sharing coming from some participants from faith colleges, allow me to summarize in 7 points. What is AAIG all about? This was about to be tackled by Professor Ida Chonko a while ago. However, as we have always noticed during online live, we experience glitches. That's why we always believe that online platform, hindi ka lang dapat high-tech, kailangan ikaw ay high-touch pa. Ika nga. So, as we venture into the world of what we have heard time and again, Industry 4.0, a group of international leaders, as we speak right now, are gathering in UN in New York. Part of the 77th General Assembly is a special session on Transforming Education Summit, which will be attended by our own president from July 16 to 19. And on the 20th, that's when the global leaders will hear out a common agenda addressing the main theme, which is Transforming Education Summit, which is in essence is the very meaning of our AAIG. We believe that as we transition from Industry 4.0, we are actually moving to Industry 5.0, wherein we are humanizing education in the age of technology. It is about human beings, not just human doings. For we have seen the past 2 years, we were all nabulaga tayo sa pagdating ng pandemya, probably because it's nature's way of waking us up to the realization that we are not the owners of this earth, but we are simply the stewards of this beautiful one ecosystem. So number one, AAIG is about transforming change that would lead us to new ways of thinking, doing, and being. Becoming how to be, not only how to do, education leaders. It is also about catalyzing strategic partnerships among the four sectors: the academe, alumni, industry, and government. We have heard for so long a time that elusive search for what we call inclusive quality education. Up until now, that dream still becomes elusive. So we hope to establish a catalytic effort to sustain partnership. It is about building appropriate skills and partnerships. As for Manila, 21st century skills should be appropriate to the kind of intelligences of our young people. At the AAIG, we believe that every Filipino has genius potentials in more ways than one. We just need to value individual differences, multiple intelligences, and the importance of emotionality in learning. Number 4, AAIG is about redefining and rehumanizing the new roles of institutions, believing that we live now in a world of borderless communication. Our blended learning modalities give us expressions like high flex, high tech, whatever. You know, if we will not take good care of the high touch aspect, we might become high blood, and then we go to high precision, and then end up high maintenance. So we have to balance both, and AIG is very keen on promoting both 4.0 and 5.0. As I said earlier, AIG is about nurturing the new roles of alumni association. Hindi lang pang fundraising, pang societal changes pa dapat ang maging batayan ng existence ng isang alumni association. And as what Dr. Hidalgo mentioned earlier and Dr. Ida mentioned earlier, that AAIG is about coming together, responding together, singing the same song, though in different tunes, but certainly in the same and having a fluid harmony. From UST, we went to Region II. Now we are in Calabarzon. Next leg, we're going to go to Cebu, Visayas, Mindanao, in our desire to really reach out, become inclusive, and partner with like-minded institutions carrying the same fervor, believing in the value of linkages and collaboration. And finally, AIG is to advance and progress sustainability, words that are not etched in facts and fallacies, but words that will find their meaning when we create community of practice in the hearts and minds of those who are attending this particular caravan and those we have already touched and about to be touched later on. So at this point, I was given a list of people who will be giving their impression. Hope they will be very brief for time constraint purposes. And the basic idea is, what has struck you most during the presentation of our speakers or a particular speaker? Ano yung napulot mo? Ano yung nakatibag ng iyong damdamin? Ano yung clarion call mo? Now, after this session, you are all agog, you're all full of bravura to put to life, to practice what you've learned. So may we call on the first sharer, Cleophas Koo. Ma'am Cleophas, are you there? There you go. Ma'am Cleophas, welcome. Please unmute, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, good morning to everyone. So congratulations first to all the organizers and for this webinar. All the speakers are very interesting and have lots of things to share. So I'd like to mention some of them. Dr. Vera's discussion and strengthening stakeholders' engagement. Mention of the services of guidance and counseling focused on mental health and self-care, not only for students, but for the whole community. It's also interesting to have some new techniques like inclusion of animal assistance intervention. Okay. Now, community support and engagement can be meaningful and interesting if they are involved in the planning, in knowing what to expect of these things. Now, how do you prepare future graduates for Industry 4.0? That's another interesting thing. So you create awareness and interest students' interest in industry. So it's interesting to know some of the unique and best practices in the school, like including startup webinars, joining hackathons, sharing the latest trends and innovations, and use of digital platforms. Now, companies and enterprise can go beyond their current practices in doing community outreach. With a lens of engagement, with new lens of engagement, like creating consultative body and expertise outreach, which can be sustainable. Pandemic has really caused the shift of future of work. And if we want to support the community higher education, we must work together with the community. Okay. Dr. Lelaine Manalo has given us the growing job demands as well as the top skills mentioned needed for this job demands. From 10 skills, we can summarize it in the skills needed, like problem solving, self-management, working with people, technology use and development. Okay, so these are most of the things that really impressed me and will be of use to a lot of people. Thank you very much.
Very much for the very insightful sharing of your own learning insight. The real challenge is for everyone here is how can I put to life the essence of AAIG when I go back to my respective. If you're a teacher, how do I put to life? If you're an administrator, how do I inject it in my leadership style? So there are many ways of skinning the cat. We would like everyone to at least put to practice because that's how we learn. After knowing the knowledge, it's high time we put to life in our own perspective and share, which is the highest form of living. So thank you very much once again. We move to the next sharer and then Gap, we will ask questions from yung mga pumasok kanina. Nabanggit ni Ms. Dakanay para sa ganon. But before that, let's go now to Joy, Ma'am Joy Escalera for her insights. Ma'am Joy Escalera, it's your turn to share.
Good morning po.
Good morning. Oh, there you go, Mr. Joy pala. I'm sorry.
Thank you po. I am both pleasured and grateful to be part of this worthwhile endeavor. The topic interests me. The topic interests me very much as I had been part of an internationally sponsored study on community engagement. As a basic education teacher, I am edified with the changing landscapes of education and industry. These two entities go hand in hand. That makes my learning from this webinar more meaningful. Community engagement, as one of the major pillars in HEIs, is also cascading in basic education. As community engagement and partnership help raise a stronger and more responsive schools that better cater our learners. As schools transition to full face-to-face implementation, it comes together with both opportunities and challenges. Doors for better learning opens and challenge of inflation welcomes teachers, learners, and parents. Through stronger partnership and community engagement, better days towards Education 4.0 will be possible and within reach. Thank you very much for this meaningful and valuable webinar.
Thank you very much, Mr. J. So Mr. Escalera highlighted one aspect of the things he learned, which is community engagement. I call it immersion. Or what's the point of knowing so much if you will not put to life and see the transition from theory to practice? And that can only be exemplified through extension and community engagement. That's when you put to life what you've learned is in the classroom and find meaning in the lives of the people in the community. So again, thank you very much, Mr. Escalera. So Madam Pat, do we have any question before we call on the two other sharers?
Yes, sir. I have a question here from Mr. Manny Sator, but before I read the question, I would like to remind everyone to that you can still write down your questions in the Q&A chat box, and we will be collecting it and address them during the open forum and even now. So the question from Mr. Manny Sator is addressed to all the panelists. So since one challenge of Education 4.0 and Industry 4.0 is also the lack of access to technology for upskilling and learning content, what can be done to bridge this gap for our poorer students, especially those in the provinces? Again, I'm going to repeat the question. For all the panelists, since one challenge of Education 4.0 and Industry 4.0 is also the lack of access to technology for upskilling and learning content, what can be done to bridge this gap for our poorer students, especially those in the provinces?
Okay, so we are now asking requesting for insights from our panelists. I see the lights of Dr. Manalo. Ma'am, would you like to go ahead and share your insight?
Yeah, yes, sir. For me, aside from the fact that I think the government is already or currently doing some programs to address this concern through government agencies like the DICT, there are also various SUCs around the country that offer state-of-the-art facilities like those of bigger and the more established universities. And these SUCs also offer free scholarships to qualified but less fortunate students. And similar to what I mentioned a while ago, perhaps another way to bridge this gap is to partner with private companies so as to expose the students also with the latest trends in technology. So I think the poorer students can now get the same kind of education as far as technology is concerned, relevant to Industry 4.0 as those students in the more urbanized areas.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Manalo. When you hear the word poor, what comes to my mind is social equity. Bridging the gap between the have and the have-nots. So let's have equity in education. Beautiful. Any Engineer Timonera?
Yes, thank you. I would like to start off with the fact that when we say Industry 4.0, we don't no longer necessarily make a distinction of provinces, because in the realm of virtual and interconnectedness, they're practically might as well be adjacent to you. The enabling technology, of course, is connectivity. That's a great equalizer. In the Philippines, still cost somebody 400 pesos to have data plan, unlimited. And that's a key prerequisite. In order to access this this body of knowledge, in order to reach out to experts, in order to see how these things work, it's not whether you are in Samar or in Manila. It's about whether you can afford to access that. It's not about the cost of the content either. It's the cost of access. So that's a main requirement. If we are able to hurdle beyond that, then we have equity. Okay. Now, I always believe that the pursuit of acquiring this knowledge has to have a purpose. I come from the city of Tacloban. When we talk about Industry 4.0, I will tell you, no one needs a smart robot in Tacloban. Okay, pursuing that kind of expertise may not necessarily dovetail with the needs of that particular area. But of course, it enables the person who is studying that to go elsewhere and practice that. Now, that in itself is an objective, but it may not dovetail with the needs of that particular region in the country. When we talk about progress, applying this, as I mentioned, there has to be consonance in that respect. Now, there are other technologies. Industry 4.0 is very broad. You could talk about smart robotics. You could talk about analytics. Now, depending on the needs of the province, the knowledge could always be acquired. Again, if we go over that initial hurdle. But relevance will have to be taken into account. Do we need that in that area? Or do we just need to educate and send these educated students elsewhere afterwards? So that's my take.
Okay, very good. You made mention of two things, no? The cost and cost. Normally, if you quantify the cost of doing a particular thing, you can be baffled. But if you try to change the equation and put at the cost, ano yung kadahilanan, bakit mo ginagawa yan? The cost becomes relative. And one thing is definitely, hindi lahat ng libre ay may halaga at hindi lahat ng mahalaga ay libre. So magiging debate talaga yan. But the idea is make it accessible sa karamihan ng ating Pilipino para habang umuunlad ang buhay ni Juan, pati si Pedro ay umuunlad din sa kanya sariling mundong ginagalawan. Yan ang maganda makita natin, na lahat ay meron access sa tinatawag na kayamanan. Ang tagumpay ay hindi lamang para doon sa nakakarangya, kaya mag-aral, kahit ikaw ay public school, kahit hindi ka nakapag-aral, pero busila ka iyong puso, magaling ka. Thank you very much, Engineer Timonera, for those thoughts. And any other from our speakers who would like to share their thought, idea? Si Dr. Jaya, I see your hand raising.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
So the digital divide is indeed very much a reality today. So how do we, in our own ways, how do we bridge this gap, right? So engineer mentioned earlier, to know the needs. It's very important to survey the needs of families most impacted by the digital divide. And it's also good that Dr. Manalo mentioned that we have to look at the universities, SUCs, evaluate also the present digital divide and then allocate resources to bridge the gap. We can do this by initiating conversations with leaders who have access to fund additional resources, as well as to link with potential donors and technology companies about digital resource partnerships. And then we can also provide training and information technology support to educators, to parents who are most impacted districts in the country. In the university, during the pandemic, because of the digital divide, we have to come up with plan B. How do we share the learning materials to our students who do not have consistent or regular internet connection? And so we came up with an offline learning program or offline learning materials that we send or ship to our students in the provinces. So that's one way that we can help bridge the digital gap. In the university, we also have the Office of Scholarships and Grants, wherein we provide grants in aid programs, student loans and claims. We also have private and government scholarships, and we also have student assistantship program wherein the students can serve the university and then they'll be paid. So this somehow helps them fund their internet connectivity and other needs. Ayun. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Malusog ang programa mo, Ma'am Jaya. In fact, nagulat ako kanina kasi nabanggit mo AAI, yung pala Animal Assisted
Intervention.
kala ko Alumni Academy, yung pala iba palang kahulugan nun sa ginagawa mo. Napakahalaga ang mental health. Lahat tayo ay dumanas ng depression sa panahon ng pandemya, pero we were able to thrive, not only survive. No? So napakaganda. Okay, so siguro gawin natin, kasi tinitin na kayo oras, no? Lahat ng question na pumasok, ang ginagawa namin ay pinapadala namin sa mga speakers, ini-email namin yan. Para sa gayon, yung iyong saloobin ay mabigyang pansin pa rin. Though we may not be able to tackle them at this particular kasi meron pa tayong dalawang naghanda ng sharer, no? May we call now on Miss Rina Olan. Yan, si Ma'am Rina.
Yes, hi sir, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
And happy Friday, everyone. So first, I want to congratulate the VIII, UST, AAIG Caravan, and Rex Education for coming up with this webinar on linking stakeholders to strengthen the community engagement. And of course, thank you for inviting me as one of your reactors in this very engaging topic. So allow me po to share my takeaways. What are my most striking learning insight from what was discussed by our 4 distinguished speakers a while ago? Indeed, the collaboration between industry and the academic world has always been an important topic. Since universities and industrial companies have different business models, some investment needs to be made to converge the two positions before mutual benefits can be reaped. Universities, as we all know, we focus on educating people and in creating new knowledge and excelling in existing know-how, while companies or industries concentrate on mastering the challenges of a competitive environment and are striving for market success. Ideally, the partnerships between industry and academic or other research institutions would allow the industry to be well informed about recent research advances while allowing the applied research intern to be cognizant of the needs of industry. That's why it is imperative for the relevant stakeholders with knowledge and shared subject matter experts to implement community engagement activities and different projects. So in addition, engaging with community stakeholders can benefit whatever organization or agency we belong. Okay, so engagement, it does not only benefit the communities, but it can also improve an industry and academics' decision-making and competitiveness by tapping into the local knowledge and also reducing conflict, and of course, to prevent costly delays. Okay, and moreover, as we all know that effective communications and stakeholder engagement are crucial for building trustful relationships with the local communities and other stakeholders. Okay, so there are a lot of advantages of participatory effort among stakeholders, such as first, it's fair to everyone. So with that, all stakeholders can have a say in the development of an effort that may seriously affect them or the organization or the academe. So it will save us from being blindsided by concerns that we didn't know about. So imagine if we have a seat at the table, concerns can be aired and be resolved before they become a bigger problem or stumbling blocks. And lastly, it can increase the credibility of one's organization. So after all, the stakeholders and community engagement is all about taking other people's needs and concerns into consideration and then trying to find a solution that works for everyone. So with that, let's continue to maintain our collaboration and engagement towards a better community and a better world. Thank you, Paul.
Wow. I like the last word, better world. One collective humanity, one ecosystem. And the powerful words that you use convergence, partnerships, collaboration, stakeholders, community engagement. So it's leadership, essentially leadership, influence, and social impact that we see a fruition of our dreams becoming beautiful and moving and meaningful realities. Thank you very much, Ma'am Rina Olan. As we move to our last but not the least sharer from VIII College, Ms. Ashley Julie Marie De Leon. Please come in.
Hello, good morning to everyone. I am Ashley Julie Marie P. De Leon from De La Salle, a student, and I am really thankful for the invitation to become one of the sharers in this event, which tackles on linking stakeholders to strengthen community engagement. To start with, I want to reiterate what the CEO of Rex Education said, which is the quality education is a stepping stone to our employment. Part of it is joining in webinars like this, which instruct me different learnings from the four speakers. Our first speaker, Engineer Alan Timoner, focuses on skills to improve the economy in connection with our environment today, wherein technology involves. And to focus on having partnerships with different businesses, which gives opportunity for others to become employed also. In our school, we have this called a capstone initiative in De La Salle, which means community action-based project addressing strategically themed learning objectives through network environment. We have this platform in thinking on what projects we can do for the specific target community. And the said advices would really help us in having partnership to implement our project. And for our second speaker, Dr. Lalaine Manalo, she focuses more on how the students prepare for the future with the technology we have. And is more on awareness on the field they want to take and expose on what is happening on it. And this take me to join in different organizations that revolve on my interests. And I am planning to take an DS architecture in the near future. So I plan to join different Facebook groups who have also interest with art, which we can exchange of ideas. With the third speaker, Dr. Agnes Vera, she shares more on counseling programs in UPLB, which have a success rate in their community. And this is because her planning with the said project carefully and the detailed steps she prepared. And this can also be practiced in our capstone initiative, which I stated a while ago, by using a SMART solution. SMART means sustainable, measurable, attainable, and realistic and trailblazing, which can also help in implementing different projects in the community by taking these notes. And lastly, for our speaker, Dr. Freddy Bulaluan, who shares on the process of shifting from online and face-to-face from the pandemic. This became also an opportunity for us students to open our minds on what is happening in our education system. With this, I just want to thank for all of you for opening our eyes, the students, on what our future holds. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley, for what a fitting way to end with your aptly summarizing the highlights of our speaker sharing. So once again, on behalf of the organizing team, thank you very much for allowing us to enter your minds and your hearts. And hopefully this triggered the opening of our eyes, our collective eyes, to the realities on the ground, that we were given the chance to examine, redefine, recalibrate, reimagineer, whatever term that may be. The 2 years have given us, as a collective humanity, taking good care of one ecosystem. So continue practicing, being part of our community of practice, and just walk the talk. Pat, thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you for your gallant way of moderating the whole process. Let's bring it back to Pat Dakanay. Thank you. Take it away.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that wonderful talk. And of course, with facilitating the plenary insightful conversations, Dean Tenedero, it was brief yet full of knowledge. And thank you for sharing the true meaning of AAIG. We hope that you can be our speaker too here at FAID, because we are sure that we will learn a lot from you. And of course, thank you to those who shared their insights about the webinar, Ms. Cleophas Aku, Mr. J. Escalera, Ms. Rina Olan, and Miss Ashley Marie De Leon. Thank you also to our speakers and audiences who raised their questions. For more questions, just like what Dean Tenedero said, you can send it to our email at aaigssummit2021@gmail.com. We'll be sending it to our speakers and relay their answers to you. Now, let's move on to awarding of certificates to the speakers. Allow me to read the citation. This certificate of appreciation is hereby awarded to, for having generously shared his expertise and experience in the AAIG 2022 Region 4A and Calabarzon Caravan, given this September 16 at 2022 at VIII Colleges, First Asia Institute of Technology and Humanities, Tanawan City, Batangas, Philippines. Signed by the Senior Vice President of Student and Alumni Services of VIII Colleges, Dr. Renalyn B. Salcedo, the Director of UST-GSCC PET, Associate Professor Jocelyn F. Agkawili, the Chairman of UST Alumni Association, Dean Henry S. Tenedero, and of course, the President of UST Alumni Association, Professor Evelyn A. Song. The certificate of appreciation is hereby awarded to the President of Fastech Synergy Philippines Incorporated, Engineer Alan P. Timonera, to the Senior Vice President for Academics and Research of VIII Colleges, Dr. Lelaine V. Manalo, to the Director of Office of Counseling and Guidance of UPLB, Dr. Jaya Agnes T. Buera, and to the OIC Office of Director for SHED Region 4, Dr. Freddy B. Bulawan. Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you to our speakers. And now let's move on to the commitment to the manifestation of solidarity. May I invite you to the virtual floor, Dr. Evelyn A. Songko, the President of the UST Alumni Association.
Thank you very much, Patricia. And good morning and blessings to everyone. First of all, I thank the VIII Colleges for hosting the third leg of the 2022 AAIG Caravan by way of bringing together the academe, industry, and government representatives in the Calabarzon. Second, I also thank the sponsor, Rex Education, for sharing with us the belief in the AAIG continuing conversations toward transformative education that prepares the young alumni for the world of work, specifically in the advent of Industry 4.0 and 5.0. Thirdly, thank you to our guest speakers for all the insights you have shared with us. You made today's conversation truly enriching. You made me dream more, imagine more as to how we can create a community of practice for AAIG advocacy. Your words made me believe even more that in the great possibility of AAIG continuous convergence, conversations, collaboration for the benefit of the young alumni. Therefore, it is in this light that I am inviting everyone present here today to say with me our manifestation of solidarity. This is our manifestation of solidarity, and I hope that you will really feel the need for solidarity in terms of AAIG. Let us begin. Altogether, we, the participants of the 2022 Academe, Alumni, Industry, and Government, or AAIG Caravan, held on September 16, 2022, via Zoom, hereby declare and manifest in solidarity with one another our commitment to the following statements. Whereas, we are cognizant of the multiple challenges that fresh graduates experience as they search for rewarding careers in employment or entrepreneurship in today's world of work. Whereas, we recognize the important roles of the academe, alumni, industry, and government play in national development and the unique contribution of each of them in making and creating favorable environments and innovative pathways that enable fresh alumni in transitioning successfully for their pursuit of academic qualifications to their meaningful practice of a profession or a vocation. Whereas we value the need for open communications, continuing engagements, and joint collaborations among the academe, industry, and government in forging collective and alumni-centric initiatives aimed at propelling the fresh alumni toward optimized personal, professional, and economic well-being and development. And whereas we believe that the empowered alumni is a critical contributor to the nation's social capital formation and an indispensable force toward the realization of the envisioned inclusive and sustainable development of the Philippines today and well into the future. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the 2022 AAIG Caravan participants of Region 4A and Calabarzon, 1. Affirm that the 2022 AAIG Caravan shall serve as a historical milestone that sets into motion the sustainable regular staging of a national and international AAIG summit every other year. 2. Endorse that the UST Alumni Association Incorporated and the UST Graduate School Center for Continuing Professional Education shall continue to spearhead the AAIG summits with support from friends and other like-minded individuals and groups. And 3, commit to support continuing conversations, collaborations, and initiatives with significant academe, alumni, industry, and government partners being undertaken at various levels, regional, provincial, city, municipal, or institutional, to create synergies, achieve successes, and drum up widening awareness and interest leading up to the staging of the subsequent AAIG summits. Manifested this 16th day of September 2022. Thank you, everyone, and let our voices reverberate in the hearts of the school leaders, teachers, industry leaders, and government. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat.
Good morning and thank you, Professor Evelyn A. Songko. This has been a very rich, productive, insightful, and inspirational conversation and webinar. And to formally end this event, may I request the organizing chair of the AAIG 2022 Caravan Series and the director under the UST Graduate School, Center for Continuing Professional Education and Development, CCPED, for the closing remarks, Associate Professor Jocelyn Agkawili.
Thank you, Ms. Patricia. As we are about to end this day's program, which is the third leg of our AAIG Caravan series, I am happy and thankful that you, our dear participants, have joined us in this continuing endeavor and advocacy of the UST Alumni Association Incorporated and the UST Graduate School Center for Continuing Professional Education and Development in our hopes to transform our educational landscape to make it more attuned and responsive to the needs of our industry in this new normal to hopefully make it a better normal. Let me also express our profound gratitude and appreciation to and our recognition to our host and local convener for this leg of our caravan, which is to the First Asia Institute of Technology and Humanities or Faith Colleges. So we would like to thank its president, Dr. Vincent Ryan Belen, for accepting the challenge to be one of our AAIG champions. And of course, to Dr. Ren Salcedo for leading the Faith AAIG organizing team. So please accept our very simple token of our appreciation through this certificate that we are giving you, so that we hope that through this, we will continue to, you will continue to be our champion for our AAIG cause. May I request our tech team to give a glimpse of our certificate for faith. Okay, so let me read the citation. The University of Santo Tomas, the UST Alumni Association Incorporated, and in partnership with the Graduate School Center for Continuing Professional Education and Development, presents this certificate of appreciation to the First Asia Institute of Technology and Humanities, or Faith Colleges, for serving as our champion for the AAIG 2022 Region 4A and Calabarzon Caravan, given this day and signed by yours truly, Dr. Dean Henry Tenedero and Dr. Evelyn Sonko. So thank you very much to our local convener and host. And so today, we have once again looked at the myriad concerns affecting our young alumni as they transition to the world of work in our VUCA environment. And we also thank our speakers for their sharings, which have allowed us a glimpse of their new, innovative, and fresh solutions to these seemingly unsurmountable challenges. And like what Ma'am Evelyn Sonko said, I have also started to realize that we can dream some more for finding more solutions to make our education a true education nation. And so I would like to request our participants who are here now and everybody else who are here now, we ask you to stay and be with us as a collective and as part of the community of practice that we are building to help us make our nation truly an education nation. Let us together build education ecosystems where we put our efforts to have continuous conversations to ensure fast incubation and birth of more pathways towards inclusive success. Let us continue to break down the walls of ignorance, myth, and complacency and build bridges of new ways of thinking, doing, and being, as of course mentioned by our main convener, Dean Henry Tenedero. Let us fully embrace and rise equal to the challenge and opportunities, and together face the VUCA environment by being visionary, dynamic, creative, liberating, and above all, transformative. And to keep the fire of our enthusiasm for our AAIG advocacy and to further build our community of practice, we invite you all to join us in the next regional AAIG Caravan, which will be held on September 30 for the fourth leg. This will be hosted by the Silliman University for the Visayas region. And then the fifth leg, which will be the last one for this year, will be held on October 14 in the Mindanao region, to be jointly hosted by the Davao del Norte State College and the Western Mindanao State University. All of this, of course, still to be held virtually through the Zoom platform facilitated by our partner, Rex Education. But hopefully, in the 2023 edition of AAIG, we pray that we shall be able to be together physically, or at least in the high flex mode. So once again, on behalf of the UST Alumni Association AAIG team and the UST GS CCPED, we thank you for your participation in today's caravan, and we hope for your continued support and collaboration in our future endeavors for the transformation of the educational landscape in our country, so that united, we can bridge the gap between the academe and industry for the benefit of our students, our young alumni, and consequently, our entire nation. Magandang tanghali po sa inyong lahat at mabuhay tayong lahat. Thank you very much.
Thank you also to Professor Jocelyn Agkawili for being one of the bridge, for giving us this wonderful opportunity to learn from our speakers and other sharers through the AAIG. But now, before we end the webinar, I would like to encourage all participants to fill out the evaluation form. The link for the evaluation form can be seen in the chat box. Certificates will be provided after the submission of the completed evaluation form. If you have any other questions, please send it to our email at aaigssummit2021@gmail.com. To view a recording of today's webinar, you may visit the following FB pages: UST AAI, UST GSCCPED, and VIII colleges. Just a reminder that the next caravan will be the Region 6, 7, and 8 caravan, to be held on September 30, 2022 at 9 a.m. to be hosted by the Silliman University. I would like to encourage everyone to attend the next webinar and to invite your colleagues to register. I would like to thank again all our guest speakers during today's webinar. And if you would like to know more information about their presentation and biography, you can access our website at ustalumniassociation.org. I would like to thank again our main sponsor for this caravan, Rex Education, and also to our other sponsors, Corona Supply Corporation Incorporated, Pasholco Agri-Ventures, and Green Life Coconut Products Philippines Incorporated. To conclude this webinar, we would like to invite you to join us in the singing of the VIII hymn. I would also like to request the panelists to stay after the VIII hymn for the photo op. On behalf of VIII colleges, the UST Alumni Association Incorporated, and the UST Graduate School Center for Continuing Professional Education and Development, CCPED, and our guest speakers, thank you for joining us today. We hope you have learned and enjoyed today's presentation. Have a great rest of your day.
in your glory, O faith. We shall forever stand proud of you, our faith. We shall forever keep your flame ablaze, imbued with both your ideas and grace. We shall proclaim you, O faith, to all the world. Stations, station, fire springs forth His great flame. Green as the rose are full of greatness, so that we may bask in your glory, O faith. Iwawalay ko ang bandila mo, dahil sa kadakilaan mo, ilalahad ko mga aral mo. Isisigaw ko, O faith, magpakailanman. Isisigaw ko, O faith, magpakailanman.
And again, thank you everyone. To know what's going to happen to our next caravan, here is a teaser from the AAIG. Again, here is a teaser from the AAIG Caravan.